시야가 더 지모구 야부쳐.
네 참에 아무 때운 따지 말 세레치 돕슨 거야.
지용는 미니 훈이 따홀래도 야부쳐.
만에 몽골 홍 오린 돌아상 비즈니스 세르지 못 교시 지모했댄쇼.
Mongol is a new movie from the prolific Russian filmmaker Sergi Bodrov. It concerns the early life of the warrior and conqueror who history knows as Genghis Khan. He starts out as a young nomadic fighter named Temujin, and this tells the story in slow, stately detail of his rise, how he conquers his enemies, how he forms alliances with other Mongols, how he wins his bride, the lovely Borte, and how all kinds of stuff happens that feels a little bit like a movie like Gladiator that gets him right to the brink of world conquest, how he unifies the different factions of Mongols, how he changes some ancient Mongol customs, and how he creates not exactly modern Mongol society, but a leaner, meaner, and more effective fighting machine. This movie is very old-fashioned. It has a beautiful, sweeping cinematography of the inner Asian steppes. It's really gorgeous. It looks like an old Western in just the big widescreen vistas with horses and tiny human figures and yurts and tents and encampments. And it has some very well-done combat photography. There are very bloody and intense battles with swords and horses and bows and arrows. Not a lot of digital effects, not a lot of irony or humor. Very solid, epic kind of filmmaking. Sometimes I felt like it dragged a little bit, and sometimes I had trouble following the story. There were parts that were left out. There were things that were emphasized that weren't quite intelligible to someone who is not perhaps steeped in Mongol history, but the whole thing has a kind of blunt and noble force. It looks really good and old-fashioned. It doesn't try to update the story to modern sensitivities, but to tell it in an old-fashioned, straightforward, epic style. And in that way, it's a kind of enjoyable and satisfying movie, with a bit of a throwback to an older style of grand, epic filmmaking.